Today I want to talk about not just how to learn a solo, but how to understand a solo. Because a lot of the time as guitarists we'll work on solos, note for note till we get them exactly right. And then once we've done that, we'll, move on to something else. Now, if you don't sort of stop and take some time to analyze a solo, analyze, what makes it melodic, how do the phrases work with the harmony, what was the approach that the guitarist was taking? If you don't do that, you're sort of leaving, half of the benefit of learning the solo just on the table. Because, learning how to play something is great for your technique and your phrasing, but also learning why it works is going to be, great for your overall musicianship. It's going to help you, write your better solos, and it's going to help you improvise better solos as well. So today we're going to look at Sultans of Swing. Pardon me, I've got a telly, not a Strat, but we'll make it work. And we're going to look at, break down Knopfler's approach here and go phrase by phrase and sort of figure out what he's doing, the nuts and bolts of the theory behind what he's doing and why that makes the solo sound so good. So I'm going to play the solo for you just to sort of get up to speed, and then we're going to dive in. Okay, so let's do it. Okay, let's get into analyzing this. So the first thing you want to do when you're trying to understand a solo is you need to understand the chord progression. So make sure you're really familiar with the harmony, because that's going to give you your reference for, that's the backdrop of everything that's going on in the solo. It's all relating back to the chord progression, right? So the chord progression for the first 4 bars are D minor, C, B flat, A. Okay, so now we know that we're going to sort of look at this approach he's taking of targeting the chord tones. So that's why you need to know the chords, because if you don't know the chords, you don't know what the chord tones are. So the chord tones are going to be the 1, 3, 5, the notes that make up the chord. Let's look at this first phrase he's playing. Now, typically what's going to happen with this style of playing of targeting chord tones, especially in this solo, whenever that chord changes, the first beat of that chord change, he's going to be playing a note that is a chord tone. So here, on the first beat of the D minor, he's bending up to this note here, which is an A, right? So if I bring that down to, that's on the G string. If I bring it down to the B string, you can see how that sits within a D minor chord, because it's a chord tone, it's the 5th. And then he's going to play, he sort of stays on that note. Even though the chord goes to C, he's staying on that note. So that's one of the very few occasions in this song where he doesn't play a chord tone. This is actually more the 6th. But if we move on, you'll see that this approach continues. So we play it. So those 2 little parts there. So landing on this note here, that's an F, and if we bring that down to the B string as well, you can see how that's contained within a B flat chord. That's the chord we're on. It's the fifth again. And then we land on this note, which is an E. So again, that's contained within an A chord. So that's the fifth. So already we're starting to follow these chord tones. Now what he does here, when we're still hanging on this A, he plays a So he's playing an A major arpeggio. So they're all chord tones. So he's playing that to outline that chord. And then we're going to go through that cycle of chords again. So we're starting on the D minor. And when we're playing that D minor, he's just going straight down a D minor arpeggio. So all of those are going to be chord tones as well. Then he gets to this part where he plays... right, so he's landing on this note here. That's on the downbeat of the chord change. And that's on the C. So if that's a C note there, if we bring that up to the E string, you can see how that's part of the C chord. That's actually the root. Then we land on this note on the chord change. That's if we bring that to the E string, that's a B flat. So that's contained within the B flat chord. Then we land on an A, which is contained within an A chord. Great, so he's just followed all those chord tones down. Now, here's a cool part. So here, the harmony, the chord changes, it sort of strays out of this D harmonic minor sound and it goes to the relative major, the F. So when that happens, he follows that with his solo and he plays this. So that's almost like a country style bend, right? And when you're doing that country bend, when you're bending up from this note, that's going up to this note here. And then if you include the other two notes up on those higher strings, you actually have an F major triad, right? So you're playing. So all of that are chord tones of the F. Now, then it goes to C major. And what he does here is something a slightly different, but still really cool. He plays this phrase. So the chord tone of C would be this note here. That would be the third, the major third. If we played a C, that would be the major third. But he actually starts on this note now. So that's one note above the third, and that is the fourth, so that is called a suspension. So that is a subtle, like, nice little way to, it's almost like you're still playing the chord tone, but now you're just slightly delaying it. You're suspending it just by coming from above. And then he goes down a triad shape, just down that C major triad shape. And then lands on the root of C. Then the chord goes to B flat, and he plays. So he is bending up to the. He's bending up to the major third of B flat. So another chord tone. Yeah, targeting that major third. And then it goes to D minor. And he's going... So he's targeting this note here, which is the minor third of D minor. If we took D minor here, that's the minor third. So you go... So he's targeting that minor third chord tone and then going down sort of a pentatonic shape. Cool. Then we're in the home stretch. The chord goes to B flat to C, sort of that sound, and he's really sort of almost playing a chord shape here. He's going. So that's a B flat major triad shape there, and then he's sort of just going up to the fifth. So that's straight out of the chord shape, and then that's going up that's built out of C. So that's all chord tones mainly, but then again we have this slight movement from the 4 to the 5, and then back to the B flat. So that thing there, again, we're over the C chord, and again it's like this country shape bend. We're bending up to the major third, and we have the fifth there. So again, chord tones. So pretty much this whole solo, apart from a couple of bars there, is constructed by following the chord tones. So this, what I was getting at the start, if you just learn the solo, that would be great. You could play Sultans of Swing, but once you understand that this is the approach he's taking, then you can start figuring out how to do that, over other songs. When there's different chord progressions, when you write your own songs, you can start writing better solos. And Knopfler, he knew what he was doing there. That wasn't just, that wasn't just using his ear. He knew how to make that work, how to construct that in that way. So great. If I know that was a bit of a crash course. And you can go a lot more in detail in this approach, this style of playing. But I'll be doing more videos, about these sorts of things. So if you hit subscribe, give me a like, then you'll see more of this. Great. I'll catch you in the next one. Thanks.